The chandeliers over the Manhattan ballroom glittered so hard they almost hurt to look at. Camera flashes popped like fireworks. A string quartet played a polished version of a pop hit in the corner, and every person with money, taste, or a good enough fake invitation was packed under the vaulted ceiling. At the center of it all stood Leah Hart. She smoothed a hand down the front of her white silk gown, feeling the subtle texture of the fabric under her fingertips, and forced herself to breathe. The award in her hand felt heavier than it looked, a sleek golden arc on a dark marble base. Her name was engraved on the plaque. Her name. After 4 years of working out of a cramped studio apartment, after 100 rejected designs, she had done it. "Thank you," she said into the microphone, her voice carrying across the ballroom. "Thank you for believing in Starfall, and in me. When I started this brand, I was just a girl with a sketchbook and a lot of insomnia. I never imagined a..." She glanced toward the front row and found Adam Cole watching her, that familiar crooked smile softening his angular face. His tailored suit was midnight blue, his tie the exact icy silver of the gemstones in the necklace she had designed for him to wear tonight. Her necklace, her design, her man. Leah's chest went warm. "I never imagined," she went on, "that these tiny pieces of metal and stone could make people feel less alone. Starfall will always be about that, about taking the moments that hurt and turning them into something you can wear close to your heart. So really, this award belongs to all of you." There was polite laughter, the ripple of applause. She let herself smile. Her fingers tightened around the award. Tonight she would dance with Adam, and maybe when the crowd thinned, they would sneak out onto the balcony, and she would finally ask him if the velvet box she had found in his drawer meant what she thought it meant. The lights went out. It happened so fast that Leah's brain needed a full heartbeat to catch up. 1 second, the chandeliers blazed. The next, the ballroom plunged into darkness and startled shouts rose up like a wave. "Oh come on," someone muttered from the back. "Not another blackout." The emergency exit signs flickered to life in dull red, casting the room in dim glow. Leah's fingers tightened around the microphone. "Everyone stay calm," the event manager called. "We probably just blew a fuse." Before Leah could say a word, high heels clacked hard against the stage behind her. A hand snatched the award from her grip. "Hey." Leah spun around, her heart slamming into her ribs. A woman stood in the faint red glow of the exit signs, the gold arc of the award gleaming in her hand. Her white gown hugged her curves. Her dark blonde hair was twisted up in a perfect chignon. Her makeup was the same. Her height, her posture, even the tiny mole at the corner of her left eye. For a half second, Leah thought she was looking into a warped mirror. Then the chandeliers flicked back on, flooding the ballroom with light. The crowd gasped as one. "Everybody relax," the woman said brightly into the microphone she had stolen from Leah's hand. Her voice was sharp and airy, confident in a way Leah's never was. "The real party can finally start. Good evening, New York. I am the founder and creative director of Starfall Jewelry, Leah Hart." Her smile flashed white. The room erupted into whispers. Leah's mind went blank. Her lungs forgot how to work. "Lena," she breathed. Her twin sister turned her head, meeting her eyes with a lazy, satisfied curve of her mouth. Lena Hart looked exactly like Leah, from the slope of her nose to the shape of her jaw. The only difference, at least back when they were kids, had always been the mole under Leah's left eye. The tiny dark dot Lena used to trace with her finger, when they lay in bed at night, whispering about how they would take on the world together. Tonight, Lena had an identical mole, sharp and obvious, sitting like a period at the end of her smirk. The kind of mole you could draw with a waterproof eyeliner pencil. Leah's stomach flipped. "That is not funny," Leah said. Her voice shook and cracked into the microphone that had been in her hand, but she did not care. She stepped forward, glare fixed on Lena. "Give that back. Lena, this is not one of your jokes. Put the award down." Lena tilted her head to the side as if considering. Then she smiled into the cameras. "Wow," she said. "She is good, right? We hired her years ago as a stand-in. Sometimes the work is just too much for one person." Laughter, uneasy and thin, rippled through the room. Leah froze. "What are you talking about?" she demanded. "I founded Starfall. I started this out of my apartment. You used to crash on my couch and steal my cereal, remember? Security?" Lena said sweetly, ignoring her. "Could we please escort the staff off the stage? This is a celebration, not an open mic night." 2 security guards in black suits moved toward Leah. Adam stood up, finally. Relief surged through her as he mounted the steps to the stage, moving to her side like he always did. "Adam," Leah said, turning to him. Tell her, this is insane. He did not take her hand. Instead, he slid an arm casually around Lena's waist and pulled her closer. What are you doing? Leah asked. Her voice came out thin. Adam looked at her like she had tracked mud onto a white carpet. Leah, he said slowly, as if speaking to a child. You promised this would be smooth. We agreed you would step back out of the spotlight. This stunt is embarrassing. Leah stared. Words scattered like marbles in her head. I would never agree to that, she said. I do not even know what you are talking about. Lena sighed dramatically and lifted her free hand. A stack of papers sat on the podium beside her, held down under a crystal paperweight. She scooped them up and fanned them toward the nearest camera. Then maybe you should read the contract you signed, she said. This is the agreement where you transfer all ownership of Starfall, plus the trademark to the name, plus all future royalties, to me, your twin sister, in exchange for a very generous buyout package. The words hit Leah in pieces. Transfer, ownership, trademark. I did not sign that, she whispered. Lena flipped to the last page and held it up, zooming in for the photographers. Then I guess someone forged your signature perfectly, with your legal ID, and your notary, and your favorite teal ink pen. The signature at the bottom of the page matched hers exactly. Panic billowed up her spine. Where did you get that? Leah's voice pitched high. Where did you get my ID? Lena's smile flashed sharper. From your nightstand, she said quietly, just loud enough for Leah's mic to barely catch it. You were sick, remember? Fever, cough, crying on the couch. You gave me your keys. Leah's knees went weak. She remembered lying under a blanket, throat raw, too exhausted to do anything but curl into herself and trust that her sister would handle the invoices and emails piling up on her laptop. She remembered mumbling her safe code when Lena said she needed to grab Leah's passport to fill out forms for a trade show. She had given Lena everything. Do not listen to her, Leah said, forcing the words through numb lips. She turned toward the crowd, toward the people she had charmed and won over one client at a time. She is lying. Starfall is mine. She is my sister she is using. A burst of audio cut her off. The speakers around the ballroom crackled, then played a recording. Lena's voice, but pitched higher, frantic. Fine, take it. Take Starfall. I will sign whatever you want, I just want out. Then her own voice followed, flat and resigned. You think you can run it better? Take it. I am tired. The room erupted into more whispers, into gasps. Leah's blood ran cold. That is edited, she shouted over the noise. You cut it. You cut the rest of it. That was a fight about a brand collaboration, not. Lena raised a manicured hand, pretending to wipe a tear from the corner of her eye. The fake mole stayed perfectly in place. I did not want to do this tonight, she said, her voice wobbling just enough to sound human. But she has been stealing my sketches, my concepts, my brand for years. I let her stand here to say thank you, because I did not want to humiliate my own sister. But she refuses to respect boundaries. She even tried to break into my apartment last week. That is my apartment, Leah shouted. My name is on the lease. Sure, Lena said dryly. Your name, that you borrowed from me. Laughter, this time louder. Someone in the crowd actually clapped. Leah could not breathe. The security guards reached her. One of them took her elbow. Ma'am, I am going to need you to come with us. Do not you dare call me ma'am, she snapped, jerking her arm back. Adam, say something. You know me. You know what I have done for this brand. You know she could not draw a circle with a compass. Adam's jaw tightened. He looked at her for a long beat, conflict flickering in his eyes. For half a heartbeat, Leah thought she saw the man she had stayed up with until 3 in the morning, testing chain lengths and metal finishes, laughing about how they would retire young and drink ridiculous cocktails on some beach. Then his expression shuddered over. Leah, he said. I am sorry, but investors do not like scandals. I have to protect the company I put my money into. You mean my company? Leah whispered. He did not answer. Lena leaned into his side, pressing her cheek against his shoulder, and gave Leah a look so triumphant it made Leah's skin crawl. Oh, Lena added, her tone suddenly bright again, as she addressed the crowd. One more thing. You might notice a tiny difference between us tonight. I finally had my birthmark restored. She touched the fake mole at her eye. Leah stepped forward, heart pounding. That is not how that works, she snapped. You are literally wearing my face like a costume. The mole is fake. Then why does her mole look exactly like yours? One of the fashion bloggers in the front row demanded. Honestly, this is unprofessional. Leah wanted to scream. She dug her nails into her palm instead. Because she drew it on. Leah said. Mine is natural. Look at the edges, you can see the makeup. Somebody zoom in. Blow it up on the screen. Cameras zoomed in obediently. Every angle went live on the big LED screen behind the stage. Her face appeared next to Lena's, almost identical. The mole did not smudge. The security guard's hand closed more firmly around her arm. Enough, he said. You are disturbing the event. Leah yanked her arm free, chest heaving. This is my event. Lena's smile finally slipped, just a fraction. She leaned in so close that her perfume, Leah's favorite jasmine scent, stolen from her dresser, filled Leah's lungs. Not anymore, Lena murmured. From tonight on, I am Leah Hart. You are nobody. For the first time since stepping on stage, real fear crawled icy fingers up Leah's spine. The ballroom that had seemed like the center of her universe closed in around her like a cage, full of strangers wearing her work, listening to her sister rewrite her life in real time. Something inside her cracked. Leah lifted her chin, forcing the panic down. If you think I am just going to disappear, she said quietly, you do not know me at all. Lena's smile returned, wide and cruel. That is the thing, sis. She whispered. I know you better than anyone. Security ushered Leah off the stage, away from the blinding chandeliers and the cameras still flashing. As they guided her toward the side exit, she caught one last glimpse of Lena standing in the spotlight, holding the award above her head while Adam kissed her temple. The crowd roared. The doors slammed shut behind Leah with a dull, final clang. In the sudden silence of the back hallway, she wrapped her arms around herself and tried to remember how to breathe, how to stand, how to exist in a world where her own sister had just stolen her name, her company, and the man she loved in front of all of Manhattan. For a long moment, there was nothing but the sound of blood pounding in her ears. Then her phone buzzed in her clutch, one tiny vibration that felt almost absurd in the middle of the disaster. Leah fumbled for it, expecting it to be another calendar alert, a notification from the brand account, one more reminder of everything she had just lost. Instead, it was a text from Mia Jones. I saw that whole circus, the message read. Do not cry. I still have the video of her falling on her face at the construction site. Call me in 5. We are going to war. Leah did not call Mia in 5 minutes. She was too busy getting evicted from her life. By the time she made it back to her apartment building, the adrenaline had worn off, leaving behind a deep, gnawing ache in her chest and a throbbing in her temples. Manhattan traffic crawled. The taxi driver kept glancing at her in the rearview mirror like he recognized her from the live stream, and her phone would not stop buzzing with notifications. She turned it off before she could read any of them. When she finally stepped out onto the sidewalk in front of her building, the cold night air slapped her cheeks. The lobby lights glowed warm behind the glass doors. Everything looked the same. Until she tried to use her key. The lock refused to turn. She tried again. What? She muttered under her breath. Are you kidding me? A security guard she had never seen before stepped out from behind the front desk. Ma'am, he said stiffly. This unit is no longer under your name. Leah stared at him. Excuse me. He consulted a clipboard, because apparently this kind of betrayal still went through paper. The lease was updated this afternoon. It belongs to Ms. Leah Hart. I am Leah Hart. Leah snapped. I pay rent on time. I send you holiday cookies. The guard looked up, eyes scanning her face with a frown. Miss Hart was in earlier, he said. She changed the lock and left instructions not to let any staff back in without her permission. Leah's hand tightened around the strap of her clutch until her knuckles ached. I am not staff, she said slowly. I live here. I have for 3 years. Then you can call Miss Hart and ask her to approve your entry. The guard said. I am just doing my job. Leah took a long breath through her nose and tried very hard not to cry in front of a stranger. Her head pounded. Her feet hurt. Her entire life was apparently indexed under a name that someone else now wore like a designer dress. Fine, she muttered. Whatever. She turned away, fumbled her phone back on, and called the only person she trusted to pick up at 2 in the morning, and not act like the world had ended, even when it had. Mia answered on the first ring. Tell me you punched her, Mia said by way of greeting. Please, tell me you walked back up on that stage and ripped that fake mole off her face. Leah's throat tightened painfully. I did not punch her, she managed. She changed the locks, Mia. On my apartment. On my apartment. There was a beat of stunned silence. Okay, Mia said finally, voice going from chaotic to ice cold in half a second. Okay, that is cute. Grab your stuff, what you can carry. You are coming to my place. I cannot grab anything, Leah said. My stuff is in there. She changed the locks. Mia swore so loudly that Leah had to pull the phone away from her ear. Stay right there, Mia said. Do not move. I am calling an Uber. Mia, you do not have to. Leah. Mia cut in. She stole your company, your boyfriend, your apartment, and your eyeliner. I watched the live stream. I know that was your eyeliner mole. You are not sleeping on the sidewalk like some tragic drama heroine. I have a lumpy couch with your name on it. Leah's chest loosened just enough for a weak laugh to escape. Fine, she said. I will wait. She sat on her suitcase. The suitcase she did not have, because her clothes, her sketches, her laptop, her entire life were locked behind a door she no longer had a key for. Leah wrapped her arms around herself and watched the city move without her. People laughed as they passed the building. A delivery driver wrestled a dolly full of boxes through the revolving door. Somewhere above her, the balcony of her old apartment glittered with warm light. A shadow moved against the curtains. She wondered if Lena was in there right now, wearing Leah's pajamas, sitting in Leah's chair, pretending to answer Leah's emails. The Uber pulled up 10 minutes later. Mia tumbled out before the car had fully stopped. Her hair was piled on top of her head in a messy knot, a hoodie thrown on over plaid pajama pants. She wore 2 different sneakers and carried a tote bag that said "Jewelry is my love language" in glittering script. She looked Leah up and down, took in the gown, the smeared lipstick, the bare neck where Leah's favorite necklace used to sit. Oh babe, Mia said softly. She really went full villain origin story on you. Leah tried to make a joke. Nothing came out. Mia's expression hardened. Okay, she said briskly, looping her arm through Leah's. Step 1, we get you out of Cinderella cosplay. Step 2, carbs. Step 3, war room. I have a whiteboard, 3 boxes of takeout, and a folder titled "In case Lena ever tried this." Yes, that is a real folder. Do not question my paranoia, just benefit from it. Leah let herself be pulled into the car. Mia's apartment in Queens was the opposite of Leah's carefully curated designer space. The living room was a chaotic collage of plants, thrift furniture, and half-finished jewelry prototypes. A giant corkboard covered one wall, layered with photos, sketches, and sticky notes that said things like "Idea moonstone anklet" and "Reminder drink water, you emotional cactus." Welcome to my empire, Mia said, kicking the door shut behind them. Shoes off, couch is a judgment-free zone, except for that one throw pillow. Do not sit on it, the zipper is broken and the stuffing will attack you. Leah stepped out of her heels and nearly cried from relief. Mia shoved a pair of fuzzy socks into her hands, then disappeared into the bathroom, and came back with makeup wipes and an oversized t-shirt that said "I am the drama" in neon letters. Change, Mia ordered. The ball is over, new era. Leah scrubbed the foundation off her face until the fake shimmer on her cheekbones vanished and her real freckles peeked through again. The t-shirt fell almost to her knees. She stared at herself in the mirror for a long second, at the dark circles under her eyes, and the mole under her left eye that was still there, stubborn and real, and hers. When she came back out, Mia had set up 2 mugs of instant hot chocolate and opened her laptop. The television played muted footage of the gala, headlines already scrolling across the bottom. Gem Twins drama, which Leah Hart is real? Leah's stomach twisted. She dropped onto the couch and pulled her knees to her chest. Why is this happening? She whispered. How did she get that contract past me? How did Adam just go along with it? Mia snorted. Because Adam is a weak, spineless spreadsheet in human form, she said. I never liked that man. His cheekbones are the only thing about him that is sharp. Leah swallowed a laugh that hurt a little less than the crying. Mia, she said quietly. She has everything. The company, the apartment, the trademark. She even has my legal name now. I checked my email on the way here. The law firm sent paperwork addressed to her as the majority owner. I am listed as a consultant. Mia's fingers flew across the keyboard. First of all, she said. Relax. Breathe. You are not going to jail. You are not going to end up on a reality show about people who lost everything to their siblings, unless we produce it ourselves and make money off it. Second, Lena may have stolen your paperwork, but there is one thing she can never fake. Leah blinked. What, my blood type? Your talent, Mia said and stabbed a finger at her chest. She can put on your dress, draw on a mole, and rehearse some lines. But she cannot design like you. I saw that launch tonight. Her collection looked like a discount chandelier threw up. Leah remembered the new pieces Lena had insisted on pushing into the line. All heavy chains and oversized crystals that screamed more nightclub than handcrafted meaning. She also remembered the way the crowd had still clapped. People still loved it, Leah said. People love drama. Mia corrected. The video of you getting dragged off the stage already has 2 million views. The comments are not on her side, either way. She turned the laptop toward Leah. Leah squinted at the screen. Under a clip of Lena claiming to be the real Leah Hart, the top comments read, "That design in the background is literally from a mass-market catalog. What is going on? The fake mole is killing me. Girl, at least blend the edges. Somebody find the real designer. I refuse to believe this influencer is behind Starfall." A tiny, fragile spark lit in Leah's chest. They noticed. She whispered. "Exactly," Mia said. "So here is what we are going to do. Step 1, you sleep. Like a human. You have not slept properly in 3 weeks, because you were finishing the award collection, while letting Adam schedule you like a robot. Step 2, we launch something new. Under a new name, a new account, anonymous. And we let the internet decide whose work they like better." Leah chewed her bottom lip. "You think that will fix the contract?" she asked. "No," Mia said bluntly. "The contract we will deal with separately. I have a cousin in law school who loves chaos. He will dig through that mess like a raccoon at a trash buffet. But your heart?" She tapped Leah's chest again. "Your reputation? Your sense of self? That we fix right now." Mia pushed a sketchbook into Leah's hands. It was the one Leah had given her on the day they registered Starfall as a business, the pages blank and full of possibility. "I cannot," Leah protested weakly. "My brain is soup." "Good," Mia said. "Soup is creative. Draw something angry." Leah stared down at the empty page. Her fingers twitched. The anger she had been holding back all night boiled up, mixing with grief and betrayal and the exhausted stubbornness that had kept her alive this long. Her pencil moved. She drew 2 stones. One was smooth and pale, wrapped in delicate silver like a soft whisper. The other was darker, jagged, its facets catching light in sharp, almost dangerous sparks. She wove the settings together, one band crossing over the other, separate but connected. Around them, she added tiny specks of metal, like stars. "What is that?" Mia asked, leaning in. "Twins," Leah said quietly. "One who takes, one who gives." She wrote the name under the sketch before she could talk herself out of it. "Twin Flame." Mia stared, her eyes widening. "Okay," she said. "That is it. That is the collection. That is the new start. We will build an entire line on this theme. Siblings, mirrors, reflections, truths." Leah shook her head. "We do not have a studio," she said. "We do not have materials. We do not have investors." Mia's grin turned sharp. "We have my living room," she said. "We have the wholesale contacts you made over the last 4 years, and we have my emergency gemstone stash. I have been hoarding moonstone like a dragon for the past 3 months. Do not ask why. Maybe I sensed this coming." She jumped up, nearly knocking over her mug, and darted to the corner where a storage cabinet sat. She opened it with a dramatic flourish. Boxes of small velvet pouches, bags of chain, spools of wire, and a neat stack of tiny gemstone parcels filled the shelves. "You have been holding out on me," Leah said. "I was saving it for when you finally dumped Adam and started your villain era," Mia said. "Which I guess is now, except you did not dump him, he dropped himself into a trash compactor. Anyway, welcome to phase 2. Leah let out a shaky laugh. Something in her chest settled into a new shape. "Okay," she said. Phase 2. By the end of the night, or rather, the beginning of the morning, the coffee table was covered in sketches. Moonstone in thin, understated settings. Dark spinel stones paired with soft rose quartz. Designs that leaned into contrast instead of pretending everything could be symmetrical and clean. They chose a new name for the anonymous account. Twin Light Studio. 2 on the nose. Leah asked, yawning as she typed it into the profile field. "Nah," Mia said, mouth full of cold noodles. "On the nose is good. On the nose means algorithm friendly. We will post the first sketch tomorrow. Caption it something vague and dramatic. People eat that up." Leah hit save and stared at the blank grid waiting for its first post. "Do you think anyone will care?" she asked softly. Mia nudged her shoulder. "Babe," she said. "The internet loves an underdog. They love authenticity, talent, and chaos. Lucky for us, you have the first 2 and Lena provides the third for free." Leah smiled despite the exhaustion dragging at her bones. She clicked her pen one last time, and wrote a single sentence at the bottom of the page with the twin flame sketch. "You can steal my name, but you cannot steal my hands." The next morning, after 3 hours of sleep, and one very strong cup of coffee, she posted a cleaned-up version of the sketch to Twinlight Studios' feed. No name, no face, no mention of Starfall, just the design and a caption. "For the ones who have their light stolen and still learn how to burn." By noon, the post had 70 likes. By evening, it had 3,000. By the end of the week, it had gone viral on Jewelry Talk, the design reposted by multiple bigger accounts with captions like "Whoever this anonymous designer is, they get it." And somewhere in Manhattan, in a glass-walled office filled with borrowed light, Lena Hart stared at her sales reports and frowned at the first tiny dip in Starfall's perfect upward curve. Lena Hart hated the word anonymous. It sounded like a disease. Or worse, a competitor she could not control. She kicked off her heels the second she stepped into her glossy penthouse Leah's old apartment, now redecorated with more gold and mirror than any one space needed, and stalked toward the kitchen. "Why are the numbers down?" she demanded, heels dangling from her fingers. Her social media manager, a 22-year-old named Kayla who wore eyeliner sharp enough to cut glass, jumped. "They are not down," Kayla said quickly. "They are correcting, normalizing. There was a spike during the gala, and now things are settling." "Settling sounds like losing," Lena snapped. She slammed her shoes onto the marble counter. Kayla flinched. Lena stabbed a manicured finger at the tablet on the island, where the latest engagement report glowed. "Look at this," Lena said. "Comments questioning my designs. People demanding to see my process. Why do they care how I design? I am the face. I hire people to do the detail work. That is how it works." Kayla hesitated. "Well," she said slowly, "the brand used to post a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. Sketches, process videos. People liked that. And now there is this new account, Twinlight Studio, posting exactly that." She tapped the screen to pull up the other profile. The grid was full of sketches and close-up shots of in-progress jewelry. Nothing flashy. No selfies. No voiceovers begging for likes. Just hands working and little snippets of text in the captions that made Kayla's chest ache unexpectedly. "For the ones rebuilding from ashes. For the ones whose families forget they are not a spare part. For the ones who learned that blood is not the only thing that makes you real." And always, designs that looked like the softer, more thoughtful side of Starfall had before the gala. The side that had drawn fans to Leah in the first place, even if most of them had never seen her face. Lena narrowed her eyes. "Why do they have more comments than we do?" she hissed. Kayla swallowed. "Because people feel things, I guess," she said. "The pieces look like they mean something. No offense, Ms. Hart, but your last drop was a little A little what?" Lena demanded. "Vegas?" Kayla said in a tiny voice. Lena glared. "It sold out," she said sharply. Numbers do not lie. But numbers could shift. And for the first time since she had ripped that award from Leah's hands, a thin thread of unease wound its way into her gut. In Queens, Leah watched the same numbers climb from Mia's couch. "Another 5 custom requests," she said, scrolling through direct messages. "We are booked out for 3 months. Mia, that is absurd." Mia lay upside down at the other end of the couch, legs thrown over the back, hair hanging toward the floor like a curtain. "That," she said, "is the universe paying rent for making you sleep on this couch." Leah laughed, then winced as her sore shoulders protested. "This is unsustainable," she said. "I cannot do all the sketching, sourcing, and making from your coffee table. I need a bench. I need a real torch. I need to stop inhaling solder fumes in the same room as your plants." They looked judgmental. Mia's philodendron, perched in the corner, did look particularly disapproving. "Okay," Mia said, flipping herself upright. "Then we scale. But we do it our way. No investors who think they are the main character. No contracts you sign when you're sick. We bring in someone who actually knows how to handle that side." "Who?" Leah asked. "Your cousin the chaos lawyer?" "Maybe," Mia said. "Or someone else. My friend group is a catalog of poor choices, but there are a few useful people in there." Before Leah could reply, her phone buzzed with a call. Unknown number. Her stomach dropped for a split second, old fear whispering that it could be Lena again, calling to gloat. Then she rolled her eyes at herself. Lena would never call from an unknown number. She would make sure her name was saved under something dramatic, like Queen. Leah answered. "Hello? Is this the designer behind Twinlight Studio?" A male voice asked. His tone was calm, low, with a hint of curiosity, and something else Leah could not quite place. Not the slick salesman tone she was used to from investors. Not the bored condescension of someone who expected her to beg for money. This is she. Leah said slowly. Who is asking? James Alvarez. The man replied. I own a small gallery in Brooklyn. I have a list of clients who are obsessed with your pieces. They have been sending me your posts for a week. I thought it was time I reached out. Leah blinked. I do not do wholesale right now, she said automatically. I am barely keeping up with individual orders. I am not asking you to, James said. Not yet. I was thinking we could host a small show. A launch. I like the twin flame concept. There is a story there. People like stories they can wear. Mia's eyes grew round as saucers. She mouthed gallery at Leah and flapped her hands. Leah's heart thudded harder. A show? She repeated. Like a in person? That is generally how galleries work, James said dryly. Then his tone softened. Look, I know you are anonymous right now. I get it. The industry is brutal, but anonymity only takes you so far. At some point, you either step into the light, or you let someone else claim it for you. Leah's grip tightened on the phone. Let me guess, she said. You saw the gala video. There was a brief pause. I did, James said. Everyone did. But I am not calling you because of that. I am calling because your work is good. I think people would come to see it no matter what name is on the door. Leah swallowed. How did you get my number? She asked. Twinlight uses the same supplier account Starfall used to use, James said easily. You changed the name, but not the shipping address. I have a good memory. Leah cursed under her breath. Of course. She had been so focused on survival she had not fully scrubbed her old information. Look, James said. I am not trying to out you. I am offering you a chance. We can keep your face out of the promo if you want. Use shadows, hands, arty angles, whatever. Just let the work speak. If you are worried about legal fallout, bring your lawyer cousin. We will make sure it is clean. Mia scribbled something on a sticky note and held it up. We need this. Leah took a breath. How soon are we talking? She asked. For weeks, James said. I have a gap before the next show. I can give you Friday night. People spend more when they have had a drink after work. For weeks. Leah mentally glanced at the sketches sprawled across Mia's corkboard, the half-finished pieces on the table, the small but growing list of people begging for something custom. She felt like she was standing at the edge of a bridge with no railing. Okay, she said, surprising herself with how steady her voice sounded. For weeks. Great, James said. I will email you the details. And Leah? She froze. Yes. The girl on that stage might have had the award, he said. But you are the one with the hands. Do not forget that. The line clicked off before she could answer. Mia let out a shriek and pounced on her, shaking her shoulders. A gallery show. She shouted. A gallery show. Anonymous, mysterious, hot jeweler with a tragic backstory. We are going to sell out and make your sister choke on her fake mole. Leah laughed until tears pricked her eyes. I am terrified, she admitted. Good, Mia said. That means you care. Across the river, Lena stared at her own phone, where a different email flashed up from a department store buyer. We are reviewing our partnership for the next quarter, the buyer had written. Several of our customers have requested designs more in line with the original Starfall ethos. Have you considered bringing back the previous creative director? Lena crumpled the printout in her hand and threw it across the room. I am the creative director, she snarled. She stomped into her office, ignoring Adam's attempt to ask what was wrong. He trailed behind her, tie loosened, worry lines etched around his mouth. Lena, he said, closing the door behind them. We need to talk about the numbers. We are not talking about the numbers, she snapped. We are talking about loyalty. You promised me you would back me up. Instead, buyers are asking for her back. Adam scrubbed a hand over his face. Maybe if you stuck closer to her original vision, he said carefully, they would stop comparing you. Lena's eyes narrowed. You mean I should be more like her, she said. More shy, more sweet, more grateful to anyone who glances in my direction. That is not what I said, Adam protested. But it is what you meant. Lena shot back. You all think she is some kind of saint. She is not. She is manipulative. She plays the victim better than anyone I have ever seen. Lena, Adam said again, helplessly. Lena turned away, her gaze catching on the paused video on her computer screen. Her own face, angled just so, eyes glossy with fake tears. Leah being escorted off stage in the background, mouth open mid-protest. The comment count on the video ticked up in real time. Someone had tagged Twinlight Studio in the thread. Her stomach twisted. She clicked the tag. On the other side of the city, Leah's notification tab exploded. The gallery announcement sent Twinlight's already growing audience into a frenzy. People speculated wildly about who she was. Some insisted she was a disgruntled designer from a big label. Others spun elaborate fan theories that she was a collective, a ghost, a marketing stunt. Only a few guessed the truth. Is this the real Leah from Starfall? One comment under the latest post read, "Because if it is, girl, we got you." Leah's fingers hovered over the reply box. She did not answer. Not yet. Instead, she poured everything into the pieces. Days blurred into nights. Her world shrank to Mia's apartment, James's gallery space, and the supplier emails she sent from a new burner address. She barely slept, except in snatches, her dreams full of silver wire and Lena's voice insisting that talent could be faked if you just played your cards right. On the morning of the gallery show, she woke up on the couch with a half-finished earring pressed into her palm. Mia dropped a bag of bagels onto the coffee table. "Rise and shine," she said. "It is the day your enemies regret underestimating you." Leah sat up slowly. "I am going to throw up," she announced. "Do it after breakfast," Mia said. "You will have more material." Leah laughed weakly and forced herself to eat half a bagel. By late afternoon, the pieces were displayed in the gallery. Twin flame cuff bracelets, each with 2 stones set side by side. Rings that could be worn stacked or apart. Necklaces with delicate double pendants, one polished, one rough. The walls were lined with large prints of Leah's sketches. Her hands shook as she pinned the last one up. "You okay?" James asked quietly. He had turned out to be tall, with dark hair pulled back in a loose knot, and a wardrobe that managed to be both casual and expensive. His gaze was sharp but kind, his questions always about the work, never about the scandal. "Ask me in 3 hours," Leah said. "Fair," James replied. "If it all goes to hell, at least my catering guy still gets paid." "That is comforting," Leah said dryly. The doors opened at 7. By 7:15, the gallery was full. By 7:30, Leah realized she had underestimated the internet. Not only had Twinlight's followers shown up, but a local blogger had posted about the event, calling it the showdown the jewelry world did not know it needed. "Do you think she will come?" Mia murmured at her side, eyes scanning the crowd. "Who?" Leah asked, even though she already knew. "Your evil clone," Mia said. "She cannot resist being the center of attention." Leah's heart thudded painfully. "I hope she does not," she said. Mia raised a brow. "Really?" Leah swallowed. "I do not know," she admitted. "Part of me wants her to see this. Part of me never wants to be in the same room with her again." As if summoned by the conflict, the gallery door opened again. Lena stepped inside, wearing head-to-toe white. Cameras followed her like a halo. Adam trailed behind her, looking deeply uncomfortable. Lena took one slow, assessing look around the gallery, then smiled with the same sugary sweetness she had used at the gala. "Well," she said, loud enough for the room to hear. "I guess imitation really is the sincerest form of theft." Every head in the gallery turned. Leah's skull felt suddenly too small for her brain. Mia muttered something that sounded like "I am going to commit crimes" under her breath. James stepped forward before Leah could move, his expression calm. "Welcome," he said to Lena. "We are glad you could join us." Lena's gaze flicked over him dismissively. "And you are?" she asked. "The man who signs the checks," James said smoothly. "James Alvarez, owner of this gallery. You must be very committed to supporting small artists, showing up to someone else's launch night and all." A few people snickered. Lena's jaw tightened. "I support talent," she said coolly. "Which is why I am wondering why so many of these designs look familiar." She gestured toward the wall, where Leah's sketches hung in neat rows. "These motifs," Lena continued. "The stars, the moons, the small stones set off center, they are suspiciously similar to Starfall's early collections." Leah felt the shift in the room, the way some people's gazes flicked between the sketches and Lena's face, calculating. Before the doubt could get roots, Mia stepped forward and planted herself between Lena and the nearest display case. "Wow," Mia said brightly. "It is crazy how you recognized the style, considering you could not tell a moonstone from a glow stick 3 months ago." Lena's eyes flashed. "And you are?" she asked again. "The friend who watched Leah build Starfall from a folding table in our college dorm," Mia said. "The friend who watched you crash on her couch rent-free for a year while she worked 2 jobs to keep both of you fed." The friend who watched you steal her brand and act like you invented jewelry. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Leah's pulse hammered in her ears. Mia. She hissed. Mia ignored her. You want to talk familiar? Mia said to Lena. Let us talk familiar. The twin flame cuff? Leah sketched versions of that in high school, when she was trying to figure out how to draw both of you on the same bracelet. I still have the notebook. With dates. She snapped her fingers, and another friend from their college days, Tasha, stepped forward with a battered spiral notebook held in gloved hands. James raised a brow. You planned this, he murmured to Leah. I did not. Leah whispered back. Mia did. Apparently my life is now a heist movie. Lena laughed, the sound brittle. This is pathetic, she said. You cannot prove anything with doodles you could have backdated. You are just jealous because Starfall is a real brand, and this little basement project is a pity party. Leah's fingers curled into fists. You know what? She said, surprising herself. She stepped out from behind the display, heart thudding so hard it almost drowned out her own voice. Let us talk about real, she said. Lena turned toward her slowly, a shark scenting blood. Look who finally crawled out of her hole, she drawled. Enjoying the charity? Leah took a deep breath. The first stone I ever set, she said, was for you. The room quieted. Lena blinked. What? Leah's gaze swept the crowd, landing on an older woman she recognized from the early days of Starfall, a client who had trusted her with a pendant made from her late mother's wedding ring. You brought me Dad's old watch, Leah reminded Lena. You said you wanted it turned into something you could wear. I stayed up all night figuring out how to reuse the metal without damaging the engraving. You cried when I gave it to you. She took a step closer to Lena. Do you still have it? Leah asked. Or did you sell it to fund your first designer handbag? Lena's jaw clenched. You think anyone cares about that? She snapped. This is business. This is brand. Nobody cares who soldered the metal as long as the logo photographs well. A murmur of disagreement moved through the crowd. James folded his arms, watching. Leah's fear twisted into something hotter. You are right, Leah said. It is business. Which is why I am done letting you rewrite the story. You can keep the award. You can keep Adam. You can sleep in my old apartment and spray my favorite perfume on your pillows. But you do not get my work anymore. And you definitely do not get to call it yours. Big words for someone who signed over her company, Lena said. You made your bed. Leah met her gaze steadily. I signed a document you put in front of me when I was sick and trusted you, she said. That is not the same as making an informed choice. Mia cleared her throat loudly. And speaking of informed, she said, waving her phone. Leah's chaos lawyer just finished reading through that contract. Turns out the notarization is fake. Which means the whole transfer is voidable. Which in normal people language means you are sitting on a very fragile pile of stolen goods. She hit a button and projected an email onto the gallery's back wall, the text blown up large enough for everyone to see. The subject line read, Material irregularities in Heart Contract. Lena went pale. Nice try, she said, but her voice lacked its usual bite. You think some law student email scares me? I have real lawyers. James stepped in smoothly. And they will love explaining to a judge why you changed the locks on an apartment you do not legally own. He said. Look, Miss Hart, I am not here to referee your family drama. But this is my space. Tonight is about this artist and her work. You barged in to use it as a stage for your own ego. I am asking you politely to leave. I am the victim here. Lena protested. A voice from the crowd cut in. You stole from your sister and kicked her out of her home. The woman from Leah's early days said. That does not look like a victim to me. Another client chimed in. I stopped buying Starfall after the last drop, he said. The pieces felt empty. This. He gestured around the gallery. This feels like the girl I met at the craft fair who cried when I told her my wife had just died and turned my grief into a bracelet I still wear. He held up his wrist. Leah's breath hitched. She remembered him. Color rose in Lena's cheeks. This is ridiculous, she said. You are all sentimental fools. Fine. Keep your little show. I will go run a real company. She whirled around, hair swinging, and stalked for the door. Adam hesitated, looking between the twins. For the first time, Leah really looked at him. His once perfectly pressed suit was wrinkled at the hem. There were shadows under his eyes. He seemed smaller somehow, shrunk by the weight of his choices. Adam. Leah said quietly. He turned. I am not asking you to pick a side, she said, surprising herself again. I already know which one you picked. I just want you to know that someday, when you look back at this, you will realize that betting against me was the worst investment decision you ever made." A couple of people snorted. Adam flinched like she had slapped him. "I am sorry," he said hoarsely. Leah nodded once. "I am sorry too," she said. "For ever thinking you were brave enough to stand next to me when things got hard." Mia muttered. "And that is checkmate." Under her breath, Lena yanked the door open, snapping, "Adam, we are leaving." For a heartbeat, he did not move. Then he went after her, the door swinging shut behind them with a final thud. Silence hung in the gallery for a long, suspended second. Then someone started clapping. The sound spread, growing, filling the space until Leah stood in the center of it, heart pounding, throat thick. James leaned in just enough for her to hear him over the noise. "Congratulations," he murmured. "You just launched your brand with more authenticity than any marketing agency could fake." Leah laughed, a wet, disbelieving sound. "I also just declared emotional war on my family in front of 50 strangers," she said. "Strangers who already picked a side," Mia said, slinging an arm around her shoulders. "Spoiler alert, it is yours." The rest of the night passed in a blur of conversations, orders, and hugs from clients Leah had not seen in months. People told her stories about breakups, about losses, about little victories, and asked her to turn them into pieces they could wear. By midnight, the majority of the collection was sold. "Sold out," James confirmed, scrolling through his tablet. "You know what that means?" "That I need to sleep for 12 years. Leah guessed. "That you are no longer anonymous," he said. "I mean, functionally. Half the people here called you Leah to your face. That cat is out of the bag and halfway to another burrow." Leah rubbed at the mole under her eye. "So what now?" she asked. "Now," James said, "you decide what name goes on the paperwork. Legal names are one thing, brand names are another. Starfall may be a mess, but Twinlight is clean. It is yours." Leah thought of Lena's face when the legal email had flashed onto the wall, of Adam's haunted eyes, of the apartment that contained her entire pre-betrayal life like a museum exhibit she was no longer allowed to visit. For the first time, she realized she did not actually want any of it back. "Not like that. Twinlight," she said slowly. "Leah Hart, founder and creative director of Twinlight Studio." Mia hooped. "Say it again," she demanded. "Say it with your villain laugh." Leah failed at the villain laugh, collapsing into giggles instead. "It does feel good," she admitted. In the weeks that followed, the fallout spread. Starfall's board of directors hired an external investigator. The contract Lena had pushed through turned into a snarled mess of blurred lines and forged stamps. The story leaked online, because nothing stayed hidden for long in a city that fed on drama. Public sympathy swung solidly toward Leah. Hashtag Team Twinlight trend for 2 days straight. Lena went quiet on social media. The next time Leah saw her sister, it was not in a courtroom or on a stage. It was on the front steps of Mia's building, late on a rainy Thursday night, when Leah came home carrying a box of castings and nearly tripped over a suitcase. Lena sat on the bottom step, hair plastered to her cheeks, mascara streaked. For the first time since the gala, she looked less like a villain and more like the girl Leah had shared a bedroom with for 18 years. "Hey," Lena said, her voice small. Leah tightened her grip on the box. "What are you doing here?" she asked. Lena shrugged, a jerky, brittle motion. "Starfall's board voted me out," she said. "They said something about brand damage and legal liability. Apparently they do not like it when you forge things in their name." "Who knew?" She let out a shaky laugh that turned into a hiccup. Leah's chest twisted. "Where are you staying?" Leah asked carefully. Lena glanced at the suitcase. "At the moment?" she said. "No clue. I thought about booking a hotel, but my cards are frozen." I guess that is what happens when you build your life on someone else's foundation, and then they finally yank it away. Rain dripped off the brim of her cheap umbrella. Leah thought of all the things she could say. "Good. You deserve it. Now you know how it feels." Instead, she heard herself ask, "Have you eaten?" Lena blinked. "What? Have you eaten?" Leah repeated. "I am not letting you starve on my doorstep. That is a lot of paperwork I do not have time to deal with." Lena let out a damp laugh. "No," she admitted. "I have not. I was too busy getting fired and sobbing in a bathroom stall." Leah sighed. "Come upstairs," she said. "We have leftover takeout. And towels." Lena stared at her like she had grown a third eye. "After everything I did," she said slowly. "You are inviting me in." "Do not get excited," Leah said. This is not forgiveness. This is not forgetting. This is me refusing to let you turn into a cautionary tale about evil sisters dying in the rain. Lena sniffed. Always the writer. She muttered. Always the drama queen. Leah shot back. They lugged the suitcase upstairs together. Mia nearly dropped her bowl of noodles when she saw Lena in the doorway. Absolutely not, she said. I do not allow chaos demons in my home without prior notice. She is soaked, Leah said. And unemployed. Mia squinted at Lena. Do you still have the fake mole? She asked. Lena's hand went automatically to the corner of her eye, where bare skin met smeared mascara. No, she muttered. Then I guess I cannot peel it off for fun. Mia said. Fine, but she sleeps on the floor, and if she even looks at my gemstone stash, I am calling your chaos lawyer. Lena made a wet snorting sound that might have been a laugh. Deal, she said. The next morning, Leah woke to the smell of coffee and the sound of hushed voices in the kitchen. She shuffled out of Mia's tiny second bedroom, hair a mess, t-shirt twisted, and found Lena sitting at the table in an oversized hoodie, hands wrapped around a mug like it was the only thing keeping her tethered to the planet. Mia stood at the counter, aggressively stirring sugar into her own mug. Morning, Leah said cautiously. Lena looked up. Her eyes were swollen and rimmed in red, but clearer than Leah had seen them in months. Morning, Lena said. I made coffee. Mia said if I broke the coffee maker I had to sleep on the fire escape, so I paid extra attention. Mia snorted. I did say that. She agreed. Leah poured herself a mug and leaned against the counter. For a long moment none of them spoke. Finally, Lena broke the silence. I do not know how to do this, she said quietly. Apologize in a way that does not sound like a press release. Maybe start by not mentioning your brand, Mia suggested. Lena shot her a glare. Helpful, she muttered. She turned back to Leah. When we were kids, she began, fingers tightening around the mug. I hated that mole. Leah blinked. Okay, she said slowly. Did not expect that opener. Lena soldiered on. Everyone used it to tell us apart, she said. You were the one with the special mark. The real Leah. I was just the copy, the extra. Mom always said we were both miracles, but I heard the way people talked. They would say, look at Leah, she is so talented, she is so careful with her hands. And then they would look at me and say, oh, and there is the other one. Leah's chest ached. That is not true, she said. They loved you too. I know that, Lena said quickly. Now, maybe, but back then, I believed it. And then you started making things, beautiful, delicate things people paid real money for. I tried to help, but I broke a stone once and you looked at me like I had crushed your heart. I did not mean to, Leah protested. I know, Lena said again. But it confirmed what I already thought. You were the one with the gift. I was the one who got in the way. So I learned to be loud instead. To be the fun one, the social one. The one who could walk into a room and get everyone's attention so you could quietly sell them your work. She gave a small, humorless laugh. I was pretty good at that, she admitted. Good enough that when the investors came, they looked at me and saw potential. They looked at you and saw a fragile artist who would burn out. At first, I pushed them back. I told them Starfall was yours. I said we were a team. But then, I got tired of being the plus one. Leah's stomach twisted. So you stole everything, she said softly. Yes, Lena said. I did. I told myself it was fair. That I had earned it. That you would be fine. You always landed on your feet. You had talent. I just needed one thing that was mine. And then it snowballed. The lies, the forged signatures, the fake mole. I kept telling myself I would give it back once I proved I could do it. Once they respected me. But then the respect never came. They just kept asking when you would come back. She swallowed hard. And the more they asked, the angrier I got. She said. At them, at you, at myself. By the time the gala happened, I had worked up such a story in my head about how you had wronged me that stealing that award felt like justice. Leah stared at her twin, at the familiar tilt of her nose, the shared shape of their mouths. And now? Leah asked. Now, Lena said. I see a video of myself screaming lies into a microphone, while you look like your heart is breaking behind me. I see comment sections calling me every name in the book, and for once, I cannot even argue, because they're right. She looked down at her hands. I am sorry, she said, the words small but clear. I am so sorry, Leah. I do not expect you to forgive me. I would not forgive me. But I had to say it out loud. To you. Not to a camera. Leah's eyes burned. She took a long sip of coffee to hide the wobble in her mouth. You hurt me, she said finally. I know. Lena whispered. You took everything I had built. Leah went on. You made me feel like I was crazy, like I had imagined my own work. You made the world think I was a thief. That is not something I can just get over because you had a bad childhood. Lena flinched. I am not asking you to, she said. I am just asking if there is any version of the future where I am not your villain. Mia cleared her throat. For what it is worth, she said. Villains do not usually show up soaking wet on doorsteps with their cards declined. That is more like a disgraced supporting character vibes. Lena let out a strangled laugh. Thank you, she said uncertainly. Leah set her mug down. I do not know what our future looks like, she said honestly. I know I do not want you running anything with my name on it ever again. I know I do not trust you with my keys or my contracts. But I also know I am too tired to spend the rest of my life hating you. She took a breath. So here is my proposal, she said. Call it a new contract. Lena winced. Bad word choice, she muttered. Leah almost smiled. You go back to school, she said. Or take classes, real ones. Learn design properly, from the ground up. Not so you can compete with me, so you can figure out what you actually like, without trying to wear my skin. Lena stared at her. You want to send me to school? She asked. That sounds like a punishment. It is both, Leah said. Punishment and chance. You pull your life apart, you rebuild it with your own hands. In the meantime, you can help Mia and me at Twinlight, but in ways we choose. Admin, social media, anything that does not involve you touching the money or the legal documents. Mia raised a hand. I volunteer her for TikTok, she said. She has main character energy, use it for good. Lena let out a wet laugh. You would trust me with your brand? She asked Leah. After everything? I would not trust you with my passwords, Leah said. But you are good at making noise. You always have been. Maybe it is time you used that to amplify the right things. Lena's eyes filled again. What is the catch? She whispered. The catch, Leah said. Is that the first time you lie to me again, about anything, the deal is off. No more couch. No more collaboration. You go build your life somewhere else, and I stop trying to pull you back from whatever cliff you decide to jump off. Silence stretched. Then Lena nodded, slow and serious. Okay, she said. Deal. They shook on it. Mia clapped her hands once. Great, she said. Now that we have emotionally traumatized ourselves before 9 in the morning, can we talk about the press request sitting in our inbox? Leah groaned. What press request? She asked. Mia grabbed her laptop and spun it around. A major fashion magazine had sent an email with the subject line, Feature Proposal Twinlight Studio, and the twin sisters behind the scandal. They want us to pose together, Mia said, scrolling. In your workshop, with some cheesy headline like From Betrayal to Brilliance. She wrinkled her nose. Journalists, she muttered. Leah schemed the email, her stomach flipping. Absolutely not, she said. I am not turning my trauma into a glossy spread. Okay, fair, Mia said. But hear me out. You control the narrative this time. You tell the story the way you want it told. Not as a sob story, but as a cautionary tale with a happy ending. People will eat it up. And the more they know your side, the less power any future smear campaign has. Lena looked uneasy. They will drag me, she said quietly. They are already dragging you, Mia pointed out. The only question is whether you let them do it without context, or with you standing next to your sister saying, yes, I was a disaster, and here is what I am doing about it. Leah rubbed her temples. I hate that you are right, she said. I know, Mia said cheerfully. It is my curse. In the end, they agreed to the feature, with conditions. No glamorizing the betrayal. No framing Leah as a passive victim. The photo shoot took place in James's gallery, now a part-time Twinlight showroom. Leah wore her usual jeans and a crisp white shirt, hair pulled back, hands stained with polish. Lena wore black, eyeliner toned down, the fake mole gone. They stood side by side in front of a wall of sketches that told the real story of the brand's evolution. The photographer asked them to hug. Leah raised a brow. We are not quite hug-ready, she said. Hand on shoulder? The photographer suggested. They compromised with a pose where Leah sat on a stool, sketchbook open, while Lena stood behind her with a hand resting lightly on Leah's shoulder, expression soft instead of smug. When the article went live, the response was overwhelming. The headline read, Twin Flames, Twin Scars: How Two Sisters Turned a Public Betrayal into a Second Chance. Some commenters still called Lena names. Others admitted, grudgingly, that seeing her own words about jealousy and insecurity made it harder to dismiss her as just evil. For Leah, the most meaningful messages were the ones from people who had their own complicated siblings. "Thank you for talking about how messy it is," one woman wrote. "My sister stole money from me 5 years ago. I always thought I had to either cut her off completely or pretend it never happened. Your story makes me think maybe there is a third option." Leah sat on the gallery floor with her back against a display case, reading the comments with tears hiding in the corners of her eyes. "You realize," Mia said, flopping down beside her, "that you just became the unofficial patron saint of boundaries with family? Is that a thing?" Leah asked. "It is now," Mia said. James wandered over, hands in his pockets. "Sales are up again," he reported. "Apparently people like jewelry that comes with emotional closure." Leah smiled. "Maybe we should start a line called Closure," she joked. "Already sketched it," Mia said, pulling out her phone. "You sketched it?" Leah demanded. "Since when do you draw?" Mia shrugged, suddenly shy. "Since watching you work for 4 years," she said. "I am not as good, but I like it. I figure if Lena has to learn something new, I can too. Fair's fair." Leah stared at the rough little drawing on Mia's screen, a ring with a clasp that could be opened and closed, engraved with a tiny phrase. "Let go." Her throat tightened. "You are better than you think," she said. Mia beamed. "I know," she said. "I just like hearing you say it." As months passed, Twin Light grew. They rented a small studio space. They hired an assistant who actually liked spreadsheets. Lena took classes at a community college, sending Leah photos of her awkward first projects with captions like, "Is this ring supposed to look like a bottle cap?" She worked part-time managing Twin Light's social media, using her flair for drama to create content that was loud, funny, and surprisingly honest. Once, she posted a video of herself holding a necklace from the Twin Flame line. "I used to steal my sister's designs," she said directly to the camera. "Now I just steal her coffee." Growth. The comments were full of people saying same, and dropping crying laughing emojis. Every now and then, Leah caught a glimpse of the girl Lena had been before everything got twisted, a girl who loved hard, wanted attention desperately, and did not always know what to do with it. She held her hope for Lena like she held her gemstones, carefully, with respect for how easily it could crack. She did not fully trust her yet, but she trusted herself enough to know she could survive it if Lena messed up again. That, she realized, was the real shift. She was no longer building her life on the promise that other people would never hurt her. She was building it on the knowledge that she could heal when they did. 1 year after the night the lights went out in the Manhattan ballroom, Leah stood under a simpler chandelier in a different space, holding a microphone again. Her hand did not shake this time. Twin Light Studios' first official anniversary party was smaller than Starfall's gala had been. The venue was a converted warehouse in Brooklyn, with exposed brick, fairy lights, and the soft hum of an indie playlist instead of a string quartet. The guests wore outfits that looked like themselves instead of like a dress code. Leah wore black trousers, a silk camisole, and a blazer with tiny silver constellations embroidered along the lapels. Around her neck, she wore a twin flame pendant, one stone pale, one dark. Mia stood to her left, wearing sequins and sneakers. Lena stood to her right, in a simple dress and no mole. James leaned against the back wall, watching with a small smile. "Thank you all for being here," Leah said into the mic. The chatter faded. She took a breath and looked around. She saw clients who had followed her from the craft fairs. She saw new faces who had only met her as Twin Light, not as the girl whose sister had stolen her company. She saw her parents in the front row, Mom wiping at her eyes, Dad filming on his phone like he was afraid to miss a second. Most importantly, she saw herself reflected in the glass of the display cases, the mole at her eye, the steady set of her shoulders. "When I stood on a stage a year ago," she said, "I thought my life was over. I had lost my brand, my home, and my sense of who I was. Tonight, standing on another stage, I realized that losing those things forced me to figure out what could not be taken from me." She lifted her free hand. "These," she said, wiggling her fingers. "My hands, my brain, my heart, the way I see the world, the way I turn my own mess into metal and stone and stories you can wear." Soft laughter rippled through the room. "And the people who stood next to me when everything fell apart," she added, glancing at Mia and Lena. Mia struck a pose. Lena ducked her head, cheeks flushing. This year has been a lot, Leah said. Lawyers, articles, therapy, too many cups of coffee. But it has also been beautiful. We built something from the ground up again. This time, we put my name on the door with my eyes wide open. And we are not done. She nodded toward the new display in the center of the room. The closure line glittered under soft lights. Rings with tiny hinges that allowed them to open and close. Bracelets with clasps that clicked satisfyingly into place. Necklaces with pendants that could separate into two halves, one to keep, one to give away. All of you taught me something about closure, Leah said. It is not about pretending the bad things never happened. It is about deciding what you carry forward, about choosing which scars become part of your design. She held up her own hand, where a slender silver ring with a subtle hinge caught the light. This is mine, she said. It reminds me that endings and beginnings are often the same moment, just viewed from different angles. She felt rather than saw Lena step a little closer. And, Lena said, raising her own hand to show a matching ring. It also reminds some of us that if we ever sign anything without reading it again, my sister will personally melt this ring down and throw it at my head. Laughter broke the tension. Leah grinned. Accurate, she said. Lena took a breath. Hi, she said into the mic as Leah handed it to her. For those of you who do not know me somehow, I am Lena. I am the twin who made a lot of very public, very stupid choices. A year ago, I thought attention was the same thing as love. I thought success meant having my face on every billboard, no matter what it cost. She looked at Leah. I was wrong, she said simply. I am still figuring it out. I am still earning back trust one may never fully get. But Leah and Mia gave me a chance to try. They gave me rules, and consequences, and a job that does not involve stealing anything except occasionally the spotlight in our videos. She glanced at Mia. Hey, Mia protested. I am the star. Sure you are, Lena said. The crowd laughed again. And all of you, Lena continued, gave me something I did not think I deserved. You saw the worst version of me on your screens, and some of you still decided to buy pieces from a collection I helped launch. You did not excuse what I did, but you believed I could be more than my worst night. That matters. Her voice wobbled slightly. So thank you, she finished. From the girl who once thought a fake mole and a microphone could make her real, thank you for teaching me that the only way to feel genuine is to actually be genuine. Applause swelled. Lena handed the mic back to Leah and wiped at her eyes surreptitiously. Mia seized the microphone with a flourish. And now, she announced, before we all cry into the merchandise, we have a surprise for our beloved emotionally resilient raccoon, Leah. Leah raised both brows. No, she said. No surprises. We agreed. No cakes shaped like my face, no flash mobs, no. The lights dimmed. A projection flickered onto the brick wall behind them. Dozens of faces appeared in quick succession, clients, followers, friends. Each held up a piece from Twin Lights collections, smiling awkwardly into their phone cameras. A compilation video played. I wore this ring the day I signed my divorce papers, one woman said. It reminded me I was not just losing something, I was making space. I proposed to my boyfriend with this necklace, a man said, holding up a delicate chain. I told him the two stones were us. Messy but meant. This bracelet helped me feel close to my sister again. Another person said. We both bought one from different cities without realizing it. When we posted, we realized we had picked the same piece. Twin flame, baby. Leah covered her mouth with her hand. Her eyes burned. Her chest felt too full. Mia turned the camera on them. Leah Hart, she said dramatically. You turned your personal soap opera into a lifeline for a bunch of strangers. How do you plead? Guilty. Leah croaked, laughing through the tears. The video ended with a simple message in text. Thank you for turning your light back on. The room blurred for a moment as Leah blinked hard. Okay, she said when she could speak again. You win. This is better than a cake shaped like my face. Obviously. Mia said. The bakery said no anyway. James joined them at the front, clapping Leah on the shoulder. Ready for year 2? He asked. Leah nodded. More than ready, she said. Later, after the speeches and the clinking of glasses and the awkward dancing, Leah slipped out onto the small terrace attached to the venue. The Brooklyn night wrapped around her, cool and humming. The Manhattan skyline glittered in the distance, familiar and distant at the same time. Lena joined her a few minutes later, carrying 2 paper cups of water. No more champagne, she said. I promised my therapist I would not apologize drunk anymore. Leah took a cup. They stood in silence for a while, shoulder to shoulder, watching a train snake across a distant bridge like a string of moving lights. Do you ever miss it? Lena asked quietly. Starfall. Leah thought about the name. The way it used to taste on her tongue. The way it had looked on business cards she had designed herself at 2 in the morning. A little, she admitted. But mostly I miss who I thought I was when I ran it. Untouchable. In control. Turns out that girl was an illusion. Same. Lena said. I miss the version of me who believed a fake mole could fix everything. They both laughed softly. Would you ever take it back? Lena asked. If the board offered? Leah considered. No, she said finally. Starfall belongs to the girl I was before. Twinlight belongs to the woman I am now. I like her better. Lena bumped her shoulder gently. Me too, she said. They fell quiet again, listening to the faint music and muffled laughter from inside. You know, Lena said eventually. They are waiting for us to come back in and take pictures with the closure sign. Leah groaned. Of course they are, she said. But before we do, Lena added, I want to give you something. She fumbled in her pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Leah's stomach did a weird flip. If this is a ring, she said, I am going to assume you learned nothing. Not that kind of ring, Lena said quickly. She opened the box. Inside lay a bracelet. It was simple, made of polished silver links, but in the center hung a small charm shaped like a broken circle. One half was smooth, the other textured. They fit together perfectly when pressed, forming a whole. Leah lifted it carefully. Did you make this? She asked. Lena nodded, cheeks pink. First project I was actually proud of, she said. My professor said it was heavy-handed. I said subtlety is overrated. Leah smiled through a sudden rush of emotion. What is it called? She asked. Twin circle, Lena said. I thought about all the ways I tried to break us, and all the ways you kept leaving the door open anyway. I figured if we were going to keep trying, we should at least have matching jewelry. It is kind of our thing. She held up her own wrist. A matching bracelet glinted there. Leah fastened the bracelet around her wrist. It felt solid and cool, like a promise she was choosing, not one she had been born into. Thank you, she said softly. Lena swallowed. Thank you, she replied, for not leaving me on the sidewalk. They stood there for a moment, two small figures against the city's endless lights, connected by blood, by history, by metal shaped into circles that could break and close again. Then Mia stuck her head out the door. Hey, tragic twins, she called. Stop having cinematic moments without me. We have a cake to cut and a video to film. Our followers demand content. Leah laughed. Coming, she said. She took one last look at the skyline, at the city that had watched her fall and get back up again. Her life was not perfect. Her trust was not fully mended. Her heart still had thin, pale scars. But she had her hands. She had her work. She had a future she had chosen. And, against all odds, she had a sister who was slowly learning how to stand beside her instead of in her place. As Leah walked back into the warm noise of the party, the charm on her bracelet caught the light and flashed. A tiny circle of silver in a room full of people who had all, in their own ways, survived being broken and put themselves back together. Twin light, not one star falling alone, but two lights, split and shared, refusing to go out.
Thanks for watching. Follow for more romance stories.